2020 at 7 p.m. Videos with innovative ideas will receive prizes. Prizes include Samsung S20 Plus, S20 Ultra Series or free 10G internet bundles. Please send your questions and comments to Yaga Africa via SMS or WhatsApp to 0903-800-7744 or email watchingthevote@yaga.org. Credible elections are the bedrock of good governance. Let's shape it together. Fix Elections NG Debate Series is brought to you by Yaga Africa, ECAS, and her partners with support from the European Union.
And now to our focus for tonight. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami San has recommended to President Muhammadu Buhari the sacking of the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. Malami, in a memorandum to the president, anchored his recommendations on several grounds. Some of them are the diversion of recovered loot to insubordination and misconduct by Magu. Included a short list of 3 candidates for consideration to replace Magu. That's what Malami wrote in that is a memorandum to President Muhammadu Buhari. Meanwhile, the opposition People's Democratic Party on Friday said the memo by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, indicting the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, of financial scam has further exposed the corruption, deception, and hypocrisy that pervaded the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government. The party said it is the worst national embarrassment in the history of Nigeria that the head of anti-corruption agency in an administration that pride itself on zero tolerance for corruption is being dragged on allegation of diversion of recovered funds and fraudulent sale of assets seized by the agency. Now, that statement was issued by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Kola Logbodinyo. He noted that Malami's memo has exposed the credentials of President Muhammadu Buhari anti-corruption architecture, rubbished his standing as African Union, that's AU anti-corruption champion, and shattered our national integrity in the international arena. Well, I have joining me in the studio a lawyer, Barrister Aliu Lemu. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And we also have via Skype, we'll be joined by an anti-graft crusader, George Uboh. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, madam. How are you?
Now let me start with you, Mr. Uboh. You saw the draft, you saw the memorandum issued by Malami to the president, asking that the EFCC board be removed as the acting chairman of the agency. Now, what do you make of that memo?
Thank you very much. You will recall that I have been on EFCC for the past 7 years. I can authoritatively say that I am the expert on the corruption at the EFCC. And the corruption at the EFCC is not a Magu thing, it's systemic. From inception, EFCC, when I came out in 2015 and I went to the Senate against the EFCC, it was based on the evidence in my possession from inception of EFCC to 2013, which was really 1.993 trillion naira. Until date, EFCC has not been able
the statement you read was written by who?
To refute my allegation. But be that as it may, and what pains me is that in 2018, the president, if you recall, in October, asked EFCC to account for the last people EFCC has recovered. 4 days after that news trended, EFCC came out that the part of the former head office, Idiago House, where such documents was, caught fire. So that was really something that I found very appalling. Because you see, I'm tired of talking about the problems at EFCC. Because we need to move to the solution. EFCC, no matter who has EFCC, The problem at the EFCC is systemic. In my opinion, the powers given to EFCC is sweeping. The much dreaded FBI in the US is purely an investigative agency. Investigate and hand over to the DOJ, Department of Justice, to prosecute. Now you have an anti-graft agency in Nigeria called EFCC that has the power to investigate, arrest, prosecute, seize, go through interim forfeiture, go through final forfeiture, and what is called perpetual dominion over recovered assets. I was so glad when the Attorney General, I think about 2 years ago, came out to say he wanted to set up asset management agency. If you, as a person, you are given the power to investigate, arrest, prosecute, seize, forfeit, and on forfeited property, you will be that powerful too. You will be that arrogant. So that is why the democracy we emulate, the US, the issue of checks and balances within the law enforcement agency is there. In the US, of course, I cited the FBI, the DOJ. Even when you are being prosecuted in the US, you have two different sections. One will handle the criminal procedure, one will handle the civil forfeiture procedure, because these are two different standard of evidence. Of course, criminal is, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The civil is preponderance of the evidence. And they don't see eye to eye. So we created this problem for ourselves. So it is not about changing MAGU. It is about restructuring the EFCC, ensuring that the overwhelming, the sweeping powers given to EFCC ab initio is really trimmed down significantly. EFCC should be purely an investigative agency. EFCC shouldn't have business prosecuting. In South Africa here, of course, you have, I think they call it National Prosecuting Agency, NPA. The police, all security agencies are meant to investigate, be it ICPC, EFCC, Nigeria Police, DS. After you investigate, you transfer to the prosecuting agency. Because you see, when you have the same agency investigating and prosecuting, for instance, let's say the police. So even if the prosecutor, who is a police officer, sees what a fellow police officer has done wrong during the investigation, they will cover it up. So we created this problem. I keep talking about blueprint, and I have one here I've written. I talked about all this. We cannot keep looking at individuals. We need to create a robust institutions that imbibe checks and balance. Even in the US, the White House, even the FBI, they have what they call Inspector General that will still investigate what you are doing. So these are things we need to put in place. Of course, you are aware that in 2016, December 2016, Farida was came out. There was a fight between Waziri and Ribadu, public thing. And Farida said, no, Ribadu should tell Nigerians the billions of naira he recovered that he did not document. That is not Judge Uboh speaking anymore. So these are two former chairmen that are coming out to tell us that they recovered monies and they didn't document. Farida wasn't saying that she was, because I have evidence against all of them. Yes, Farida is right. She documented her own misappropriation, and Ribadu did not. So, of course, you recall in 2018 when the same Magu wrote a letter to Kemi Adoshu that he had recovered, I think, about 500 billion. And Kemi Adoshu came and said, oh, wait a minute, I don't have that money here. Okay. So it's very painful that we keep talking about this agency that, in my opinion, is a Gestapo-like agency. And what do I mean by that? The Attorney General, my good friend, cannot come out after enough over 5 years. I kudos to him, but this is problem he knew since he became Attorney General. We are looking for monies all over the world. The figure I had as of 2013 was 1.993 trillion naira in currency alone. I talked about offshore seizures that don't make it to Nigeria.
These figures you are
dimension of corruption.
Mr. Uboh, these figures you are mentioning.
Yeah.
Do they have connection with
yes.
the present EFCC boss? Because what you have explained so far is that the powers given to the EFCC connection with him, with Magu.
Come again, I didn't hear.
I said
what did you say?
You said you have figures. And if I can hear what you said, that these figures you had them before now, do they have connection with the Magu's administration as the acting chairman of EFCC?
Yes. Listen, my friend. Magu started EFCC, Rebadu as chairman, Lamode as head of operations, and Magu in Lagos office, a team leader. So when I went to the Senate and I adduced the money stolen from Tafa Balogun called me and said, Dr. Uboh, thank you very much for bringing this thing out in the open. But I want to let you know that the person who inventoried my assets is Magu, the case agent that took care of also in investigative balance. If you get arrested, it is the IPO, it is the person who inventory your assets. If it's missing, that is the person that is, really is in charge, is supposed to be questioned. So he told me point blank that Magu is the person who, was the person that actually inventoried his assets. I'm talking about 15 bank accounts restrained at the old Fronting Trust Bank belonging to Tafa Balogun. EFCC calculated these 15 accounts to be the neighborhood of 2.02 billion naira, but you pick up a calculator, it's over 3 billion. Now, let's say it's inadvertent, let's say it's a mistake. But it became a premeditated crime when EFCC transferred the funds from Tafa's bank, because Fronting Trust metamorphosed into Spain Bank, from the Spain Bank to Access Bank. It is the same adulterated figure that EFCC moved. Have this evidence, I've been singing it. So it's not something that they know.
Okay.
I'm not even talking about the problem at EFCC because that one is beneath me. It's been over 7 years. It is the solution. Nigeria needs to get the security brains. We need to get together and really come up with something that obtains out. It's obtainable out there. EFCC has too much powers. Period. There is no way you can't. There's no two ways about it.
All right, Mr. Uboh,
break those powers.
Mr. Uboh, we'll come back to you. Let me just quickly go to the person we have in the studio here, Barrister Ali Ulemu. Barrister, thank you very much for joining us in the studio again. Now, you listened to him,
yes,
and
please.
I think from what Dr. Uboh is saying is that EFCC's problem did not just start with Magu. It's been there. That is because they've given them too much power, and whoever sits on that chair, either in the chairman's capacity or acting chairman, becomes arrogant and becomes too powerful. So you cannot give somebody investigative power as well as the prosecuting power. That's what he is saying.
Respectfully, I disagree with Mr. Uboh. That is very, very wrong. That's a very wrong assertion. There is no problem with EFCC. Rather, the EFCC, as we have it now, is the best thing to ever happen to Nigeria's anti-corruption fight. No system is perfect, but the EFCC, as we have it, is as close to perfect in prosecution in Nigeria as possible at the moment. Since the inception of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, we have also always been complaining that there's corruption in Nigeria. Corruption is high-headed, but nobody has been able to frontally confront the monster of corruption and give it a bloody mouth like Magu has done at the moment. Nigerians like to draw parallels with America when it suits them and it's convenient for them. Yes, we believe we are not perfect, but the mistake has always been to try to copy things hook, line, and sinker without taking into account local peculiarities. EFCC, as we have it, is a law that tries to copy America but has adapted our local peculiarities to our own circumstances. the other prosecution agencies in Nigeria are the Ministry of Justice, the police, and the ICPCs. In all of this, in the 20 years of democracy in Nigeria, or 21 years of democracy in Nigeria, none of these prosecution agencies has achieved the successes that EFCC has achieved under Mr. Magu. So the complaint of Mr. Uboh is real. We see where he's coming from. He's friends with somebody who think that there's too much powers invested in the EFCC. And those powers are the people that are launching an attack within, from the inside, trying to smear the good name of the chairman, of the record and achievement he has achieved over a period of 5 years since he took up his stewardship as the acting chairman of the EFCC. If you want to know whether somebody has succeeded in his job or not, the indices you have to look at is his performance, the result, and his achievement in the entire period he has occupied the office in which he occupies. And then look at his performance vis-a-vis persons who have held that position before. Have they been able to achieve what he has achieved? Has he surpassed the achievement that they've achieved in those offices before? If the answer is in the affirmative, that he has achieved more than has ever been achieved in that office, then the conditions are right for such a person to be renewed, for the tenure of such a person to be renewed.
You're calling for the renewal of his tenure, and Malami is saying that he has to be changed because he has so many.
With due respect, that is a disservice to the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, and a frontal attack on the war against corruption by the #1 chief law officer of this country.
That's what I wanted to tell you.
With due respect, that's what I'm saying. That is against the fact and evidence we have about the achievements of Mr. Magu. In the 5 years Mr. Magu has been at the helms of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, he has recorded 2,240 convictions. That's in terms of criminal prosecution. 2,240 convictions of powerful people who had hitherto been untouchable in Nigeria. This includes ex-governors, former ministers, former captains of industries, and so on. Even former military chiefs have been convicted by Mr. Magu. It has never been heard of in Nigeria before. When we talk of recoveries, Mr. Magu has recovered in the period of his tenure over 800 billion naira.
Where is the money? The
money is there in the recovery account with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
But they are accusing him of diverting some of this money.
You see, it is one thing to accuse. He who alleges must prove. And it is sad that the chief law officer of the country that will come and make allegations. With due respect, the Attorney General of the Federation is the chief law officer of the Federation and the supervising minister of the parastatal which Mr. Magu heads. Assuming these allegations were true, Mr. Magu ought to be called. It is basic and fundamental and rudimentary even that a person must be given a right of fair hearing before any allegations against him can said to be proved. If these allegations are true, the Minister of Justice ought to establish a committee. Give Mr. Magu the right of fair hearing. Okay, these are the allegations against you. What are the defenses? What defense do you have to this allegation if they are true? That has never been done. This is merely a smear attempt, and it's unfortunate that it is coming from within. You heard what the opposition People's Democratic Party said.
Yes.
They said this exposes the corruption, deception, and hypocrisy that pervade the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government. Imagine who is giving them the missile to make this statement. The #1 chief law officer of this administration. That is very, very unfortunate. So it will be catastrophic at this point in our fight against corruption for whoever is sponsoring this smear campaign against Mr. Magu to be allowed to get away with it. I believe Nigerians are unanimous. In the last 5 years, all the people who have fought Mr. Magu have fought and failed. The likes of former Senate President Saraki, Trillion Naira, and the rest, who stood against the confirmation of Mr. Magu, where are they now? Those people have fought and lost, and Mr. Magu is still standing. But
are you not worried? If Magu is this good and is doing his job perfectly well, why is it that the name of Magu has not been resent to the National Assembly?
That is what we are saying.
And yet, this same Night Assembly, they are not even calling for that.
It is those same forces that have fought against the confirmation of Mr. Magu. They are still trying to fight against this presentation of Mr. Magu's name for confirmation by this Ninth Senate. Because they know it's a matter of course. So once it is presented to this Ninth Senate will confirm him. So this is their attempt to try to prevent and force the President's hand from forwarding Mr. Magu's name to the Senate. This is a fight they fight in vain. I assure you, Mr. Magu has the support of Nigerians, the international community, the global the African community and the international community, because everybody, it is visible to see. You can feel that the achievements of Mr. Magu are real, and corruption is on the back foot. Corruption is trying to fight for its life with all that it has gotten, and it will fail.
But if you look at it, the Attorney General understands what goes on there. You said he's the supervising minister of that same agency. And he's coming out with this letter, writing a memorandum to the president. Does that not give you an itch that that man knows a lot that you don't even know about?
With due respect, you see, in law, we say facts are sacred. You cannot change facts. You cannot argue with them. Even if you don't like facts, you cannot argue with them. And the fact that it is overwhelming, since Mr. Magu took office in 2015, he has recorded a steady growth in the rate of convictions he has succeeded in achieving as the chairman of EFCC. In 2015, he recorded 103 convictions. In 2016, 109. In 2017, 189. In 2018, 315. In 2019, he recorded 1,281 convictions. While in 2020, despite the coronavirus, Mr. Magu's agency has so far recorded 243 convictions despite the coronavirus. No other prosecutorial agency in Nigeria, no other has achieved these successes. So if it is not an attempt to derail this kind of success, tell me, why would the Attorney General be coming up with a memo like this to tarnish the unblemished track record of Mr. Magu in his stewardship of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission? Oh,
okay, I go back to you. Dr. Uboh, are you there?
Yes, very much. I'm
sure you listened to him and you must have picked one or two things. Something I really asked him, if according to what you said, that the Attorney General had so much information, all that he is coming out with are things he knew even before now. If he knew them before now, why did he keep them up to this time?
You see, Madam, I started this show by not really talking about the Attorney General's letter. I don't need the Attorney General's letter to come out to say what I have on EFCC. I have sat with the Attorney General. I have the young man there, with all due respect. I would like to have his number. I will avail him the 3 boxes of evidence I have against EFCC. Okay? I don't talk about I attended the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. We study policy. I am talking based on policy, that the creation of EFCC in itself is not healthy now and is being proven. I don't go into investigation or conviction, but let me ask you though, the guy Chauvin who put his knee on late Floyd's neck, even if he had 1,000 convictions, when you toe on the line of illegality, that doesn't matter. I am saying that EFCC does not remit recovered loot. That is what I'm talking about, and that's heinous. So whether Magu has had conviction is not my cup of tea. Give us the money. We are Nigerians. Any money you recover as a law enforcement agency, we need you to account to us. I have never gone into investigation or conviction or whatever. I talk only one thing regarding the FCC. The money. You have recovered a lot of money, and I have a letter, it's trending now. My video is trending because I don't talk based on sentiment. I have the documents. EFCC from inception to 2013 recovered 2.051 trillion naira, out of which only 6.7 billion naira was remitted, and that is via a letter from the Accountant General's office to the National Assembly, leaving a balance of 1.993 trillion. I have monies, Bayelsa State engaged me.
Permit me to interject you.
This is what I talk about. I'm not talking about whether Magu or whatever. I am talking about based on the...
Allow him. When he's done, you can have your time to
interject
you.
Permit me.
Listen,
just allow him. When he's done, you can have...
I'm not going to you on anything that is not... I am not going to knock you for the conviction. Of course, EFCC has to convict. But what I'm saying is, talk about, and if you want to be objective, the Attorney General that wrote the letter, I had a big fight with the Attorney General in this country for over 2 years. Judge Uboh, Google it. So it's not about my thing with anybody, it's transactional.
Let me
do you understand?
this.
But when the Attorney General came out and said, I want to set up as an agency, I commended him too. We want to set this country on the right path. So if you err, I will criticize. If you do good, I will commend you. I don't, what concern me? Look, the EFCC you are talking about, go there. I provided security for EFCC for years. I worked, so you are not going to tell me anything about EFCC. I know EFCC very well.
Very well, sir.
Go to all EFCC offices in Abuja, apart from the headquarters, you see my company pass. So I know EFCC very well. But I am talking about recovery. And if you love Nigeria, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria asked EFCC to account for recovery. They did not. Rather, they told us that the portion of that office got set on fire. And you're over there talking, have I talked about conviction? Talk about the recoveries.
Very well, sir.
If you agree with me, or if you want to see the evidence, and if you agree that if I show you the evidence, we come back on this show to acquiesce to the fact that you have seen it, then I'll give you a kiss on both cheeks. We need to listen. My thing is not about Lamode or Malami. I love all of them. Others as Nigeria, but I love Nigeria more. Nigeria is paramount, and that is what we all should key into. Do you understand what I'm saying? Very well, sir. That is why I'm here. Okay. I'm here because I love my country. And to answer your questions, I respectfully, sir, I cannot account for what happened in EFCC between 2003 to 2015 when President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office. But as soon as President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office, he saw to the full implementation of Treasury single account. As a practicing lawyer, when EFCC makes recoveries from the period Mr. Magu came into office and the Treasury single account came into operation, all recovered monies are paid into the recovery account in the Central Bank of Nigeria. This can be verified and ascertainable from 2016. From 2016 to this period, I, as a lawyer in my practice, I have paid checks on behalf of clients. I have taken checks on behalf of clients to go and pay to the EFCC. They are drafts.
The money are not they refund?
Yes, they are refund. Recovered loot, whatever you call them, recoveries, recovered loot. You pay them in drafts. You don't take cash. You don't take bags of cash to the EFCC. You raise a draft in favor of the Central Bank of Nigeria EFCC recovery account. That's where those monies are paid to. The Central Bank of Nigeria is the custodian of the Treasury single account. All the recoveries by the EFCC, the ones that are in draft, are lodged with the Central Bank of Nigeria. The hard currencies, the dollars that were recovered from Andrew Yakubu, from the Ikoyi Osborn Towers, all of them are lodged for safekeeping and security at the Central Bank of Nigeria. And Mr. Magu, whoever it is at the EFCC, has no power to unilaterally withdraw any money from that Central Bank from that TSA account of the Central Bank of Nigeria without the approval of the Federal Executive Council or the Minister of Finance.
All right, Dr. Uboh.
The same Kenya Adeosun criticized Magu when Magu wrote her that he recovered 500 billion. Are you not? This is public record. You are putting Magu in jeopardy now, because the same Magu you are talking about wrote Kenya Adeosun a letter about recovery. Kenya Adeosun came out to say, I have not seen these monies you are talking about. So what are you saying? The monies are not with Mr. Adeosun. They are with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
By Salemu, just allow him finish so that you can have time to also.
He raised the
Dr. Uboh.
Yes.
Yes, you're still talking.
Yes. What I'm saying is the evidence I have is from inception to 2013, but I gave you instances of what happened since Magu was there, and Magu was even there from inception. And I'm asking him, I said, look, Magu came out to say that he recovered about 500 billion, and he was criticized. But the Minister of Finance, CBN, they all work together, the Accountant General. So you can't say that Kenya Adeosun wasn't in the right place to question Magu's recovery. I disagree, because it's the same Minister of Adeosun that was really dealing with TSA funds. So, my brother, I don't talk without facts. Okay.
All right. Okay. Let me ask you this question, Dr. Uboh. Right. If you say that you understand that Magu has been in EFCC even before now, even if he didn't occupy the seat of the chairman of the that agency, does that not mean that the man has better understanding of what goes on there and should be given opportunity to tell Nigerians, to come out and tell Nigerians, this and this and these are the things we have done so far? Money recovers to this tune. And another question that begs for answer that I feel Nigerians will want to ask is that the president also talked about recovery funds, recovered funds, and he made mention of them in most of his speeches. He kept saying so amount of funds have been recovered from that means the government anti-corruption fight is working. So where do we not tie this? The Attorney General of the Federation is still a part of this government. Where do we tie it?
Listen, we have issue with compliance, okay? I'm holding here the Department of Homeland Security blueprint and everything. We even need to question what EFCC recovered. We are supposed to go into EFCC website and see that as a matter of public record. I hope you realize that NNPC, because that is what we do in the civil society, NNPC just came out and published, financial record and everything. And people are jubilating and say, why? It's supposed to be there. So for us to be digging into what EFCC recovered and everything, it's not supposed to be so. Because if they do that, that will now eradicate all these bottlenecks we are talking about. So all Nigerians should be able to go into the website of EFCC, know what they recovered, what is still pending in court. We should have all that. I'm not going to go into the fact that EFCC has not even come out with financial record. I have my video that is trending since 2010, 2011. Okay, so these are the anomalies that you can't see in other countries. Okay. And we cannot compare with the US. Right. We borrowed the US is the founding father democracy. We took it from them. So you have to copy something that is nice. Okay, go back to military dictatorship. So when people say we can't compare, why won't you compare? You have to emulate something that's good. Okay.
Dr. Uboh, just allow me ask this question. And now I want to take it from the financial reports.
Yes.
Is querying EFCC under Magu to release their financial reports?
They have. They've always been.
Where is it in their website?
I don't know. I've not been to this website lately, but at September every year, Mr. Magu renders the account of his stewardship to the National Assembly every year. And if you have been,
but don't you think it is better when he says, Nigerians, you want to know what I have done, go to EFCC website. It's there, upload them. Well, they said NNPC released their own. So where is that?
I'll get in touch with the EFCC if it's available on the website. Perhaps I'll come back to this show. I will let you know so that Nigerians, as a matter of information, Nigerians can go to the website and see report and achievement of the EFCC. But what I'm saying is this: he has asked about where the recovered monies are. For the past 2 years, the recoveries by the EFCC forms a part of the national budget. When the president is announcing the budget, he will see him state that part of this, the budget is made up of accruals from oil earnings, accruals from exports in Nigeria, and then accruals from recovered loot. They are part of the budget. They have been funding the budget for the past 2 or 3 years in the budgetary cycle. I understand Mr. Uboh is still stuck in 2011, 2012. His videos that were made since that time are the videos that are trending. But that does not reflect the true state of affairs as it were. And it will be sad, it will be unfair to judge Mr. Magu's stewardship, assuming the allegations are even true. It will be unfair to judge his stewardship only from the point of view of recoveries. The duties of the EFCC chairman or the Economic and Financial Commission as a commission goes beyond recoveries. The EFCC has been very proactive, not only in fighting corruption, but fighting corruption from the roots. All over Nigeria, there have been anti-corruption clubs in secondary schools. The community is being made part of the anti-corruption fight because corruption affects everybody in the community. The EFCC is enlisting stakeholders, civil societies, individuals, and even secondary school students as stakeholders in this anti-corruption fight. So once every Nigerian keys into this anti-corruption fight, as Mr. Magu and the Economic and Financial Commission envisions under his stewardship, then the fight against corruption will be taken to the next level. That is where we ought to be now. Rather than ask that Mr. Magu not be confirmed, I think we should all join our hands in supporting whatever he has achieved and try to give our constructive criticism towards bettering the Economic Financial Crimes Commission as an anti-corruption fighting institution, because that is what the whole of Africa is doing. The whole of Africa is looking up to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission as well as its chairman as inspiration. Even the FBI, the London's the Scotland Yard are proud to be associated and working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission towards tackling global cybercrime. As we speak, officers of the FBI are currently in liaison, are currently in joint effort towards fighting the Yahoo boys. And every week in the news, you see it, one or the other Yahoo celebrities on the social media are being arrested by the EFCC through a joint cooperation with the FBI.
So where is this allegation coming from? You have said, I want to go to Dr. Uboh. Dr. Uboh, yes. I will have to take you back to the Attorney General's letter to Buhari. The allegation is not just an allegation that everyone needs to wave aside. When they say the number one man who is supposed to take charge of fighting corruption is diverting, that is a very, very big one. Diverting funds. And you have asked, where are the recoveries? So do you think, from what Barrister Lemo had said earlier on, that it may just be a witch hunt, a way to push him out of EFCC? Is that what it is?
You see, thank you very much, Ijoma. I want to let my brother there know something. You see, office is continuum. If you were to be made EFCC chairman today, and you love Nigeria, there was something Farida Waziri did. I have it in my archive. When Farida Waziri came, she set up a 5-man internal committee to look into the sale of recovered assets. I have that report, dummy report, and the report talked about how the recovered, I'm talking now property, how they grossly undervalue recovered assets and sell to their cronies at very cheap prices. Okay, so what she was trying to do, I'm not saying she's a saint, I have evidence against her too. What I'm trying to say is that if they make EFCC chairman today,
Dr. Uboh.
Network.
Wow, I think we just
lost him.
Yes, exactly. So let's go to the issue of what you said about witch hunt or forces, internal forces. Does it mean that there's a battle between agencies and the Attorney General of the Federation? And if you also take a look at that statement you made and take a look at what the PDP is saying, that what Malami has done has made a rubbish of the entire anti-graft war in Nigeria. So where would that take us to?
You see, that was what I said in the beginning, that it's unfortunate that this kind of allegations are coming from the chief law officer and a very high-ranking member of the ruling party. You are giving opposition the tools with which they fight to fight the very government you serve. You see, let's not make this a battle. Let's not make it a subject of battle between Mr. Magu and the Attorney General of the Federation. But that's what it appears to be. But you see, the facts, like I've recorded.
Sorry, I think we need to go for a short break. Okay. Let's just quickly go for a short break, and when we return, we need to take some commercials. When we return, we'll continue from where we stopped. We'll be ending the program in a very short while.
After 6 cycles of general elections, Nigeria still grapples with flawed elections, do-or-die politics, electoral injustice, and electoral violence. We have a golden opportunity to fix the loopholes that undermine our electoral process. To lend your voice to the conversation on electoral reform, send a 1-minute video stating your top 3 ideas of how we can fix our elections and make our votes count in Nigeria. Share your video on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram by tagging @Yaga or @EkesEU with the hashtag FixElectionsNG on or before June 27, 2020 at 12 p.m. Selected videos will be aired on the upcoming live TV Fix Elections NG Citizens Debate on Electoral Reforms scheduled for June 30, 2020 at 7 p.m. Videos with innovative ideas will receive prizes. Prizes include Samsung S20 Plus, S20 Ultra Series or free 10G internet bundles. Please send your questions and comments to Yaga Africa via SMS or WhatsApp to 0903-800-7744 or email watchingthevote@yaga.org. Credible elections are the bedrock of good governance. Let's shape it together. Fix Elections NG Debate Series is brought to you by Yaga Africa, Ekes and her partners with support from the European Union. Grapples with flawed elections, do-or-die politics, electoral injustice, and electoral violence. We have a golden opportunity to fix the loopholes that undermine our electoral process. To lend your voice to the conversation on electoral reform? Send a 1-minute video stating your top 3 ideas of how we can fix our elections and make our votes count in Nigeria. Share your video on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram by tagging at Yaga or at EKESEU with the hashtag FixElectionsNG on or before June 27, 2020 at 12 p.m. Selected videos will be aired on the upcoming live TV Fix Elections NG Citizens Debate on Electoral Reforms scheduled for June 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Videos with innovative ideas will receive prizes. Prizes include Samsung S20 Plus, S20 Ultra Series or free 10G internet bundles. Please send your questions and comments to Yaga Africa via SMS or WhatsApp to 0903 800 7744 or email watchingthevote@yaga.org. Credible elections are the bedrock of good governance. Let's shape it together. Fix Elections NG Debate Series is brought to you by Yaga Africa, EKES and her partners with support from the European Union.
Thank you for remaining with us. It's been a very interesting discussion on the program tonight, and I still have my guests. We couldn't go to conclude with Dr. George Uboh via Skype. We'll have to call him into the program for his final take on issues. But let me just let Barrister Lemu, you were saying something before, so that we can go to Dr. Uboh.
Yes. What was it about?
No, you were saying, you were talking about.
Yes, it was unfortunate
yes,
that these allegations are coming from the number one, the chief law officer of the Federation. He is given, as a high-ranking member of the ruling party, the government which he serves. It's unfortunate that he is the one giving the opposition party the arsenal with which to fight and bring down his own government. That is rather unfortunate. Well, you see, what is undisputable is that Mr. Magu has distinguished himself in his stewardship. Nigerians of the looting and thieving class have never been united as they have against trying to deny Mr. Magu the confirmation which he deserves.
But that statement you just made is
yes,
like throwing stone at whoever is calling for him.
A lot of people are calling for him not to be confirmed, and this recent allegation is part of those attempts.
So you feel
and
that?
Unfortunate.
No, let me
yes,
just draw your attention
yes,
to your statement.
yes,
But that may be too strong.
Okay.
The thieving and
stealing the looting class, it does not refer to anybody in particular.
Okay,
no, it refers to no, so I'm sorry.
Too strong.
The meaning is that there are a lot of looters in Nigeria, both in the private and public sector. They are the looting class or thieving class, that like the common people call them. So they have never been united as they have against the confirmation of Mr. Magu. If that tells you anything, it tells you that he is doing a good job. We have been saying corruption in Nigeria, but nobody has summoned the will to fight corruption like he has. And if Mr. Uboh will be honest himself, I'm sorry to make this, as a Nigerian, who would you rather prosecute you? The police, the Ministry of Justice, or the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission? The person who has done it successfully time over time is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and you are a true testament of that if you will admit that, Mr.
How do
Uboh.
you mean? How do you mean is a true testament?
Mr. Uboh was once prosecuted and convicted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
Dr. Uboh?
Yes.
I'm sure you will take it from where he just stopped. He said you're talking because you are also one of those that Magu prosecuted.
How can that wash off the evidence I have? Look, I'm not going to go into all that. The point I was making before the thing happened is that anybody who is appointed into an office like the EFCC, and I was citing the example of Farida Waziri, that when she came, she set up a 5-man committee to look into the sale of recovered assets and all that, and I like that report. Now, when Magu came, I had just finished my Senate hearing against the EFCC, the Senate Committee on Public Petitions. Now, Magu came, I think, December 15, 2015, thereabout. He now went to the House Committee, Financial Crimes. Oladele who was actually Chief of Staff to Lamonde. He won the election and was appointed chairman of that committee, to say that all recovered loot by EFCC from inception is intact. And I wrote him a letter and gave him a 7-day ultimatum to thanking him for saying that, so he should look into my allegation and recover and return the money. So the fact that he came on board, he didn't even look into what transpired before he was chairman, although he was there because he started EFCC as a team leader. So it's not about whether to remove Magu or not. I can care less. After all, the FBI, any FBI director is given like minimum of 10 years so that you can stay beyond any government. So
while you are copying from America, why don't you copy that so that Mr. Magu will have 10 years to consolidate on his achievements?
So, whether he stays 10 years or 20 years is not the issue. What I am saying is let us unravel the recovered loot that over the years that were not remitted to the Federation account. That is my point.
All right. Dr. George Uboh, I think I would like to say thank you very much for being a part of this program. Hopefully, if we get development from this issue, since you said you have a lot, and if that a lot we can have just a snippet of that lot, maybe we'll just have to put you on air. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, you just concluded by saying what is important is for Nigerians to ask for the recovered loot. That's it. Where are they domiciled? Where are the recovered loot?
But I just explained earlier. You see, this recovered loot, it's made up of monies paid through bank drafts, voluntarily paid back, monies in seized physical cash, in hard currencies, like in Ikoyi Osborne, like in Kaduna Sabon Tasha, among others. This also includes properties like the ones they recover from Desani. There's a property on Banana Island. There's a property on Ikoyi Island. Some of these properties have been given to government agencies to make as office, not to pay rent, so that they don't pay rent, and they save government huge sums of money that were hitherto being used to pay rent when government had properties all littered all over the landscape. They could have utilized and saved those rent. No. That is what Mr. Magu is doing. So most of these recoveries, like I told you, some of them are in cash, some of them are in property, some of them are in exotic cars, some of them are in private jets. All of this.
But you know that the lifespan of an exotic car can expire because that car can just
let me tell you, something interesting happened. Sometime last year, the Attorney General of the Federation came out with a circular or regulation that henceforth all recovered assets should be brought to his office and disposed of through his asset. With due respect, that is wrong. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, which set up the EFCC, gave it the powers to seize assets and deal with those seized assets. The Attorney General of the Federation cannot, through his regulation, alter an act that has been passed by the National Assembly. The next step is, Mr. Uboh's complaint is with recovered asset, but the office of the EFCC chairman and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission itself has to do with more than recovery. We have to do with convictions. We have to do with prevention. We have to do with whistleblowing. We have to do with recoveries, among others. In all of these different subheads, Mr. Magu has performed excellently well. Right, and now is the time for Nigerians to rally beyond this anti-corruption champion and ensure that President presents him to the National Assembly for confirmation. All
right, thank you very much. We'll be speaking with a lawyer, and the lawyer, Barrister Aliu Lemo, has been talking, and we also had Dr. George Uboh, an anti-graft crusader, and maybe perhaps we'll be having to do more on this issue some other time, but not at this moment. Remember that we are still on our social media platform, and if you want to watch us live, if you miss any episode of this program, all you need to do is go to ait.live. You have it there, or you go to our social media platform at official AIT Live. You can also follow us on our social media platform, Democracy #2 Day, the Twitter handle. You drop a comment, and you drop a comment with me at EJ Osamo. Until we return tomorrow 10 p.m., we'll be taking talk more of security, and the Edo Monday is Edo APC primaries, and a lot of things are happening. Before I go, let me just take this breaking news I got. And the breaking news, it's very important I take the breaking news. It says the APC acting national chairman confirms Wogu bombs from Rivers State to replace Victor Giadom as deputy national secretary. That's what they are saying. Wogu bombs has been confirmed to replace Victor Giadom. That's the breaking news. Until then, good night, and thanks for staying with us.